So in the beginning, when I made Abstract Album, you got to understand something. I asked myself a question. I asked myself, if you're not talking about, sex, drugs, and money in a song, or if you are talking about, like, what else are you talking about? So my goal was to find different ways to talk about the same topics that we always talk about, but find different creative ways, you know what I'm saying, to bring light to them instead of just the same typical way of just going directly to what we already know the song is already about. I'm here to introduce, finally, my explanation to the Abstract album. Now, this album was recorded about 2 years ago, and I put it on Facebook, I put it on YouTube, I put it on everywhere, on all the platforms, Spotify, you name it. And basically, I left it out there and kind of didn't really explain none of the songs. It's something I've been wanting to do since I released the album, but I'm finally getting to it. Got enough time to really break each one down. So stay in there, check it out. So with no further ado, I'm going to jump right into it, starting with the intro, which of course at the time that I was recording this song, my voice was actually going through some changes. It was getting cold, and I remember that I had a sore throat literally through the entire album. So the quality of my voice at the time that I recorded this project was not at its best, but I tried to make it work. So what I did was, whenever I would go into the studio, I would actually bring a whole bunch of cough drops and water and whatever else it took for me to be able to numb my throat enough to be able to get whatever I had to say out, because my voice was completely gone through half of this album. The first song on the project was Welcome. Welcome kind of started off, it kind of had this little Millie Rock theme. I remember at the time that was kind of like the dance move or whatever out of New York and stuff. And I seen a lot of people doing it in the dance moves for the new songs at the time. So I wanted to do something that made you want to dance like that. And so the beat was actually made, from a beat that I meant for the Millie Rock. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, the meaning of the Welcome song was, at the time, it seemed like I was contributing all of my energy into a lot of other people's projects, and nobody actually gave me the credit that I felt like I was due. So I kind of, started taking notice, and instead of coming directly at them, I kind of gave them a subtle jab, you know what I'm saying? And just letting you know who all I am working with and what I'm doing. So Welcome was definitely a subtle intro, it was just letting you know I've been doing this. Now, as for the next song after it was Alcohol. The second song, Alcohol, I was a bartender at the time, so I always like to stay true to my music. So one of the things that I like to do is write about things that I can actually personally say that I've done. I live this, I've walked that life. I don't want to talk about guns, drugs, doing all kinds of thuggish stuff, because that's not the type of person I am. So I wrote that song just to kind of give you a brief look into a day in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, being a bartender is really not that bad. I had a lot of good times and met a lot of fun people. Cool. So the next song on the project actually was Money Problems. Money Problems was a song that I wrote because I kind of wanted to put light on how we act whenever we finally touch money. At the time, I was very financially stable, but I couldn't help but notice the cycle that everybody goes through, you know what I mean? Whenever we get a hold of some money and we're feeling ourselves, so we go through it, we run through it, we spend it on things that we don't really need, we waste it, and then when it's all gone, all of the people that you were dealing with, everything that we were working, with at the time, all of a sudden is just gone, and you're back at square one waiting on the income tax to come around again, and it's like a yearly cycle. And so even though it sounds like a fun song, I'm really kind of dropping a little message within that, so pay attention. Sometimes I drop jewels. So the next song after that is Happy Man. And when I did Happy Man, if you listen to the beat, it sounds like some old school, smooth R&B. And I wanted that And I wanted to just kind of shock and awe you with the lyrics, because if you really listen to it, all I'm really asking to do is to have sex with you, but without the responsibility of having to call you and having to respond to you afterwards. And so it's kind of a really kind of messed up song in a way, but the way I sang it, it was smooth and it sounds like accepting. Like you almost be like, okay, well, I guess it's cool. You know, it's cold outside. And shout out to Marlo. He helped me mix that down, and he gave me a really good sound for that one. But I really did enjoy making that one. It was definitely something I was having fun with. So on to the next one. The next song on the project was called Champion. And the Champion was a little deeper than what you think. So we in Lake Charles. If you listen to it, I don't know if you knew this, but a little fun fact, the song from the Rocky theme song, da-da-da, da-da-da. If you listen to the beginning, you can hear that melody from the Rocky theme song. What I don't know if you knew is that the person who created the theme song is from the Lake Charles area, and they also run the Lake Charles music store. So that was like a double pun. When I wrote the song Champion, I wasn't just writing a song about beating up the girls, box. I was really kind of giving an underscore homage to the creator of the Rocky theme song, who is also from Lake Charles. So shout out, I don't know his name, I just found this out as a fun fact, and I thought it was a very creative way to pay homage at the same time write a cool song. So next up on the list is a song I named Document. And the funny thing about Document is, it just, when you look at the name, it kind of sounds a little boring, but when you actually listen to it and you begin to realize that when I'm talking about documenting, I'm talking about keeping records, I'm talking about keeping footage of you and your lover doing what y'all do. And so if you really think about it, I just made a song about creating a sex tape. Now, what I had envisioned whenever I wanted to do the video of it was to have like our grandkids or something, one day going through a box of CDs and they get a hold of a DVD basically that had a sex tape on it of Mama and Papa when they were younger, though, because the whole thing is, as good looking as you are right now, eventually you're going to start to age, and maybe you'll age well and maybe you won't. So sometimes you do have to take advantage of those moments. So needless to say, the next one on the list is going to be probably the hit of the whole album, which is Crackhead, which also was helped once again. Shout out to Marlo. Marlo Capdeville helped me tremendously with this album for any live instrumentation. So all the keys you're hearing, that made it real jazzy. But let me explain the meaning behind Crackhead. I believe personally that in a relationship, your relationship is not just two people. I believe that it's a triangle. I believe that it's you, two people, and then there's something that connects you. So with this particular song, it was really talking about how two crackheads, no matter how high or low they get with each other, have one connection, which is always going to be to go back to the crack. In this particular case, crack. My crack is music. So I would like to have and share those moments with my loved one of being able to express my musicality with that person, as a way for us to connect and make that triangle. And I just think that the Crackhead song is just a really, really creative way of saying that. So, secrets on this whole album. Well, next on the list, there was a song I did called Throwback. I have both Katera, my daughter, and my son Keyshawn on this song, and it has a personal meaning to me. It is a song that kind of describes a torn up relationship and, not really being accepting of where you're at, but at the same time questioning by looking at an old throwback picture what could have been if we'd have just, figured this out. And it was kind of instrumental because, of course, I went through a personal split with my ex-wife, and the kids actually was the ones I felt like was hurt the most by it. So having them on this song, did kind of, I don't know, it kind of brought restitution, redemption, I guess, to the whole situation. It's just having them on this song real quick. So the next song after Throwback was 16 Days. 16 Days, once again, is a storytelling type situation to where I'm really kind of embodying the person that was just caught up in the situation. At the time that I actually wrote this song, I was watching a lot of the ID channel, and I just thought it would be messed up to actually be affiliated with a crime that you had zero knowledge of what was going on. You just literally were in the wrong place at the wrong time. So that was the meaning behind the 16 Day. I had Housewife. At the time, Housewife, I was working with a lot of people, and I would hear a lot of their stories personally, and so I actually kind of started questioning, hey, it's a lot of people who are getting married, but yet they still kind of want to sow their wild oats a little bit. And so those that are actually involved with those women, I think, are kind of selling themselves short because they're going to eventually get hurt. So it was kind of like, giving my people a heads up, warning, might not want to tread these waters. But I think that was kind of a creative way of doing it. Once again, the whole Abstract albums like this is just creative ways of saying the same thing everybody else is saying. Now, last but not least, we had a song called Recovery. My sister literally almost lost her life. She had a diabetic episode, went into a coma, and literally took 2 to 3 weeks for her to actually wake up from this coma and begin to regain all of her function again, and went through about another 1 to 2 year process of recovering. And she's doing perfectly fine. But at the time that we wrote this song, I literally did not know what was going to come of my sister's condition. So I wrote the song Recovery because at the time I really did have a restored faith because of the recovery that my sister came from. And if you knew just how close to death she really was, you would understand why Recovery is such a powerful song to me as well. And be it that it's Christmas right now, I'm actually shooting this on Christmas Day 2020. We've already been through a crazy year. It's a lot of people who've lost a lot of people. And I really just want to make sure everybody understands to take advantage of the moment. Be here. Be there in the moment. As far as the Abstract album, it was done in 2018. It's a creative writing experience. Go through, listen to each song. Now that you know the meanings behind them, it should give you a lot better feeling about listening to it. So get at me, leave something in the notes, subscribe, go pull up my other albums. I also got my boy DeAndre, Beat Doctor, HOR, Cousin Scooter. Shout out to Desi Dukes, Peebo, Don Derry. I don't know if I said his name already, but Don Derry, Terrell Malbro, anyone that had anything to do with the rise and success of my music. Thank you. From Courthouse and out.